This video is a highlight of a panel at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo, the future of gaming on YouTube, perspectives and predictions from 3 content creators. Let's check it out.
You, as well as other creators, were having some luck with that. Now, you've chosen to kind of back off of that and get off hardcore on the real stuff because you've always been about that too. So not just talking about you, talking about everybody in the home arcade space, where they're going from here now that we're seeing a switch in Arcade 1-Up. That switch being that they've released so much that now they're on their 5th and 6th releases of some of the same stuff because I don't think they have any more licenses they can acquire. And if they do, it's not happening within speculation or things of a speculatory nature, but that's only going to go so far. So tell me what you're seeing on that, other creators in your space, and maybe tell me a little bit about how the transition has continued to go moving into
I
real arcade
did
stuff.
Something that had nothing, it wasn't intentional, it was just something I was interested in. So of course my channel is all about the real arcade scene and kind of going through what's available. If I pick up something fun, I'll show it to people, how it works, the history of the games, that kind of stuff. But it's interesting because this past couple weeks I was like, you know what, I haven't done really an emulation video in a while. I'm gonna do something that's emulation based. Now it was interesting because YouTube will show you the stats. It was 225% more people are interested in this than your regular videos. And I'm like, well, that's kind of telling me something, isn't it? Maybe people aren't as interested in the real arcade scene as they are. And I think the real reason for that is accessibility. It's because most people aren't gonna bring a 300, 400 pound cabinet into their house. They're just not. So, and I think that's why Arcade 1-Up was real successful. But to your point on the whole, they're not releasing anything new, their whole thing is they have to sell, Arcade 1-Up has to sell a game to a retailer. So if that retailer doesn't even know what that is, right, they're not gonna go, oh yeah, let's bring in Vindicators or something like that. They're gonna go, the guy buying it's gonna go, what the hell's that, right? He's gonna, you don't have more Pac-Man for me? So they tend to just I think this year they're just playing it safe because there's a decline in the interest of those products, I feel like. But I don't think there's ever going to be a decline in people being interested in general in our hobby, but I think when you oversaturate the market, how many Pac-Man cabinets can you own, right?
That's right.
Pac-Man is great, but how many of them do you need?
I've noticed a decline in the arcade sales in the last year and a half easily. Pinball doubled, tripled, keeps going up. Arcade is starting to level out and fall. And I do believe that has a lot to do with the Arcade 1-Up fascination. People went nuts for 3 or 4 years. It pumped the real arcades up for a little bit because scarcity and people, I've got this Arcade 1-Up, I want the real thing. And go out and they get it, and now they got 2 of them and they sell the Arcade 1-Up, whatever they do. But my sales personally of arcade machines is a third of what it was 2 years ago, I would say. And most of my business comes from pinball restoration and or arcade, but mostly pinball. That bubble has growing and growing and growing. The pro models just keep going up in price for the new stuff. The old stuff has doubled and tripled, and I only see bigger things for that. I think the arcade side of it might start to level off a little bit, and because of the emulation and because of the accessibility to the emulation now, and through channels like yours and other people who teach you how to do it, here's what you need and here's what you do. I'm not telling you to go get these ROMs, but I'm telling you that you can, you know what I mean? Here's how it works.
You gotta put that for educational purposes.
Absolutely. I'm not paid for, sponsored, nothing. This is educational purposes only. You need to own the game.
Whatever.
Which, I get it. I don't like multicades for that very reason. I feel like it's cheapens the game. I don't know. It needs to be the game with the original hardware. That's just me. I'm a nerd, and I like the original stuff.
No, I get it. It's not as genuine at that point.
Now I've already put it up there.
I was going to add one more thing to that.
Yeah, no. Please talk away.
Now you were talking about the sales. So this is something I'm not, because I do some restorations, but my goal isn't necessarily it's not a business for me. It's more of I'm gonna sell it to some other collector, and if I make my money back, it's fine. Because it's just not a business for me. It's more of a hobby, which there's nothing wrong. I'm glad you're able to do that. But for me, I'm noticing now I can't even make my money back on the restoration. Right. So I've started this thing because part of me is doing the hobby is I need to fund the hobby. The hobby has to at least pay for itself somehow. I can't be losing money, otherwise how do I acquire new stuff? It's like every collector, right? You sell things to get other things you want. Well, I've been sending my cabinets, I have 10 of them right now at Captain's auctions because there I can make a lot. I can make enough to fund the hobby. I didn't really want to do that because you don't know who's buying them. Like, part of the cool part of the hobby is like I had an NBA Jam, CaptNRetro comes and drives to my house to pick it up. That was cool. And then you sold it to the Atlanta Hawks. Like, that's cool. And
in their, well, they play it when they go off of, I guess it's off to the side of their locker room. So it's like in their hangout room.
So that's totally cool. So I would much rather sell to a collector. I feel like you probably are the same way, right? You'd rather sell to someone that you know is going to love that game. But right now, I'm not seeing a way to keep the money flowing.
Where's Captain? Is that out
It's in Anaheim, California, yeah.
So think about how cool that was, right? What you just talked about, that whole deal that y'all did and how neat that was. If I recollect, that particular piece of content didn't exactly walk on water.
Welcome to my channel.
It's fun though.
But it should have. So circling back to the future of content creation, what we're talking about here, where is the space for the home arcade channels? Where are they going to go? Are they going to just ride the speculatory wave forever? Because I don't feel like that's available. And if there's already a struggle to make it in the real arcade space, or if there's a limitation or cap, if you will, on the existing viewer base for that as a product, I guess what I'm trying to say is, as cool as that thing was, you couldn't do a much cooler thing than what y'all did with it. The freaking Hawks were involved. What do you want?
That was really cool.
Is there any, where are the home arcade people going to go from there? They can't all go get into regular arcade. Or can they, and do they bring the viewer base with them? Does this create more life in the real arcade viewership scene? I'm not saying we have answers to all these questions. I sit here talking about speculatory things. A lot of this panel will be largely that. We can't read the future, but does that create, can they bring viewership to that? Because that's all that's left to look at. We can't talk about big buck hunters coming out every 6 weeks with a new button on it.
Like Ralph said at the beginning, like Arcade 1UP is starting to like pull back a little bit, I think, and they're hedging their bet with like, let's put out another Pac-Man anniversary model or whatever they're doing. It's like stuff that kind of worked already. I don't think there's too much more of a future in those things. Just, I hate them personally.
I know.
I think they're a bane to the existence of arcades. I think if you want the real thing, go get the real thing. This thing's going to break very fast, and good luck. It's cute. If it was built right, I'd be way more into it. If it was like a legit little arcade with sandwa sticks and real things and stuff happening, I'm more into it. But as it is, it's a Nintendo emulator. That Pac-Man is the NES ROM.
Well, they hang themselves by flying too close to the sun, because when I start seeing $1,000 price tags on these things,
you're in the realm of a real arcade, and a good used one for $600.
So yeah, I'm not even trying to dog the product so much as it's overstayed its welcome, and it has outpriced itself.
I will dog the product.
Yeah.
Well, you said like, where do they go, right? Where do you do? Well, I mean, if you think about it, there's a ton of channels that you don't even know about, that just like someone will go live and play a retro arcade game, right? They'll play the real arcade game, and those channels don't do that great. They're just kind of, they exist, but they don't do great. I don't know, like I've seen some of them, like I don't really watch many of them anymore, but some of them are trying to pivot to other things that are popular, like hey, some of them are jumping on like the pinball bandwagon because pinball's popular, but that's not an easy thing to have a channel about either. Like pinball channels. I mean, you guys probably know the big ones. It's like Kerry Hardy, and then who else can you say like?
And Kerry just started like in a year ago. Like Kerry's great people, makes a good product, and he sticks to the course. That's the problem with the channel. If you're going to do Arcade 1UP content, that's all you're allowed to do. Like Kerry Hardy, we talk pinball here. Whatever it may be, it's pinball. Your channel went from arcade and emulation to like real stuff, and now it's kind of maybe fluctuating back a little bit.
I'm fluctuating back just because I've noticed that people aren't as interested.
Watching it.
They're really not watching it. Like
making what they're watching. Yeah. My channel is, I was talking this earlier, I'll go get an RV out of the woods one day, then I'm going to the beach with my girlfriend, then it's an arcade fix, then I found a pile of video games at a toy store. Like it's all over the place, and that hurts you. You have to really, the future of YouTube, whatever, you have to get on a schedule and diversify only on the subject that day, but it has to be the same subject.
That is so true. Like you can't, YouTube, I mean, there's no one that you couldn't have someone come in here and be like, well, maybe Mr. Beast or something would come in and say, oh, I totally understand the algorithm, and Emceemur, if you do this, you'll be incredibly successful. But it is true that if you like just do what you like all the time, if you're just like, oh, I'm gonna do like I'm just gonna change my subject every day because every week I like something new, no one will watch. It actually kind of sucks. So you have to like be consistent on one thing, or at least stay in the genre, like you're saying. Like you can't deviate from your genre, which kind of sucks.
My channel's way too diverse, and knowing that, and knowing all of this, the future of Kevin in YouTube, I'm still gonna make CaptNRetro stuff. I branched off to another CaptNRetro channel where I'm uploading even older content that never got watched on my channel. It's still not getting watched, but like at least it's in its own world now, and it's like retro gaming content on this channel. Arcade and Pinball on the CaptNRetro channel, and we made Tara, my girlfriend, her channel.
Which is doing awesome, right?
We started it in March. It took me 7 years to get to 3,500 subscribers on YouTube. We started her channel in March. She hit 3,380 this morning. So it's a movie reaction channel, and we put up 2 videos a week where she watches a movie that she should have watched 25 years ago and hasn't seen it.
I feel like she hasn't watched so
She
many
has,
movies.
dude.
You could do this for like 10 more years.
We've got a long list, bro. It's at least a 20-year program type of thing. But it's because I'm following Andy's techniques and tips, the things he's taught me about. Here's what you should do on your channel. I'm like, no, I'm gonna do me, bro. No, do what Andy says. Get Tuesdays or whatever, pick a day and a time every week, put out the same video, not the same video, but a movie reaction, a movie reaction, a movie. Don't go to the beach. Don't go get an RV out of the woods.
The RV one was really
They're fun. Everything I make, I think, is worth a watch, but no one cares. You know what I mean? Like, it's just me that likes it and a couple choice folks. So you have to strategize. And this is the guy that knows the strategy, only because he's
working on it.
Hammered it out on his own channel, like watching his channel stagnate for 3 years basically, and then he was like, all right, here's a strategy, I'm gonna stick to it. And after 6-7 months, his channel had surpassed mine. He's about to hit 10. Did you hit 10 yet?
Not yet. No,
He's close to 10,000 subs.
We're about 90 away.
Amazing for some, it's amazing. And
Well, they say that less than 10% of channels out there ever cross that threshold, which is a hell of a figure. So, and I certainly never counted on it doing any of that. Looking at the bullet points of the overall description of this panel, we have claimed that we're going to discuss the importance of understanding audience trends. And that's kind of what I was leading into with this is,
we claimed it.
if the trends are going to change to where arcade one-up, home arcade scene is just not viable anymore, there's a lot of creators there, again, that are going to have to shift. Does the viewership shift with them, or do they not? That's the big question.
There's one thing I could say though. My viewers did not shift. So like, what happened was, like, when I first jumped and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I had to almost build new. Some of them did, but I would say that was like 20%. Because now it's kind of funny, because if I do something leaning in that direction, they kind of wake up. Like, I did do like 1 or 2 arcade one-up things that were like maybe over the past couple of years, like maybe 2 videos, or I like weaved it somehow into arcade one-up. Yeah, like the game I bought was like Fast and the Furious, and because they released it, I was like, I'll mention that they're releasing it, and that just the mention of it made that video do better if it was just a Fast and the Furious video.
Yeah.
But your whole like pivot, I don't know what you pivot to, because like how many arcade game channels can there be? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think there can be a lot if that viewer base decides to bite the bullet and move into just enjoying regular arcade content. The problem is the trends have shown us that they will not.
And I think that's true.
If they did, then you create this great hub at which, original arcade content can exist, and then you have that same, like you're talking about with the movies, you've got an infinite list, right? I mean, how many arcades out there are there possibly?
Just
the
on
hunting
the,
of the
just
acquisition
on the top
of the
100 movies of all time, she's seen 3 of them.
Yeah.
97 on that list. They're like, there's 97 right there.
You know what's funny is my wife has not watched any movie either. Like, I can name any cool movie that would be, nostalgic to all of us, and she has no idea what it is. It's kind of frustrating, but sort of fun, because you can kind of introduce.
You should make her channel.
No, she wouldn't do that. Like, Tara's too good. She's good at that. Her reactions are like classic.
Well, again, it started from my own channel being too diverse. I was like, let's just make this movie reaction series on my channel, and it was the only thing that was getting watched. Like, for a year and a half, I'm like, all this gaming content just sits here 100 views, 73 views. Ooh, 210, look at there. And then her first thing that went on my channel was like 10,000 views, South Park reaction. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is how you do it? Okay, well this is how we're gonna do it. And I got her comfortable. She's not a camera person. She doesn't care about being an entertainer or anything. It took her a good year to get comfortable enough to be like, okay, I wanna do my own channel with this.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's do it. So we took all that old content that was on my channel and we built a whole new channel with the same videos. I pulled them off my channel. I uploaded them.
They did better on that new channel, right?
They murdered over there. Like everything is a banger. It's number 1 out of 10, number 1 out of 10, number 1 out of 10. And my videos go up and it's like number 10 out of number 20. You know, 20 out of 10. This is terrible. Who wants to watch you fix something? No one. No one cares. The only people that come to my channel on the reg are like, they're looking for something to fix. I've fixed something, thanks for making this video, you know, help me fix my thing. I get a lot of that. And then I get like another 150 or so people that watch everything, but that's about it. And out of 3,500 people, you're like, you would think 1,000 would watch something. Why'd you sign up to watch my channel? Because you like the RV video, or you liked the time I went to the beach, whatever, you subscribe for that kind of content and you're not here for anything else.
I do think that YouTube puts people in circles though, like, cause there's a guy that I was like, oh, everyone must know who this guy is, cause he's like a tech review guy. It's ETA Prime.
Yeah.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, and I literally talked to like 10 people. And this was like over time, it was probably over a 5-year period. I was like, oh yeah, it's that ETA Prime video. Like, who's ETA Prime? And I'm like, the guy's got like close to 1 million subscribers. Like, how do you not know who this guy is? I don't know if it's 1 million, but it's up there.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of people that have no idea who he is, but he's great. He does really, really well.
Big emulation dude and a lot of tech review stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the future of gaming on YouTube, I really don't know where that's going. Are you talking about like streaming, actual gaming on YouTube, or like the genre?
For just that talking point, it was just the arcade. Now, talking about, you know, retro gaming, if we can pivot back to that for a minute, I'm seeing a rising trend there. Again, talking about trends. Collectors selling their collections.
Oh yeah, that is a trend.
Now, everyone's always said the bubble's going to burst, the bubble's going to burst, and then it doesn't burst. You know what's going to burst it? All these people getting out.
Yeah.
That's what it was going to take. And yeah, the writing on the wall, whatever you want to call it. Also, an interesting thing to me, and I don't say this accusatorily, but a lot of these channels that do that, it seems to me like a lot of people started collecting like recently. Like a lot of these people have started maybe between 2015, 2017, right in there. All of a sudden, IKEA stock's probably gone way up, selling Billy shelves to every single, you know, Tom, Dick, and Harry out there, filling their room with retro stuff that I don't know if they're hunting it or just buying it on eBay. I don't know what they're doing. It could be a mixture of the two. Regardless, though, it doesn't matter because they've actually still made a good business decision in investing in all of that stuff when they did. Because even people that invested as late as that, it's gone up since then. But now, if everybody's going to bail collectively and start selling it off, that's going to pull it down because we're on the market, we're undercutting it.
Which is good for us actual people who want to collect it and keep it. It's good.
It is good for those people. It's also bad in some senses too, because a hobby going mainstream always results in the involvement of a fickle fan base too. So now, do the viewers also lose
your
interest?
Your whole point there is exactly what happened.
I'm not even talking about the creators if they get out of it. I'm talking about the people that were interested in watching that. Is the whole thing going to move on? That kind of threatens what I'm doing, or if they're just completely bored with it, I've got to pick something else to do.
Is the whole thing a thing?
The financials in there, like my first videos didn't get a lot of views until we started talking about, well, this is what I sold and how much it was worth.
Right.
But don't you think, like, on your content, like, I think when I watch your stuff, the thing that I get excited about is what's he gonna actually get at like the swap meet or wherever you go.
I always hope that that's
so it's
it.
like
I hope that that's what people want.
So it's like the score. It's like, what is he actually gonna get? But
it doesn't matter. It generally doesn't matter what you get on these videos. Like, they're not there because you found a Star Fox weekend competition card. Like I have a video that has like 60 views. They don't care about what you found. They just care that you're finding it and consistently making the video. Doing the same.
And that's true. We have seen that.
But do you think that people will that become less popular? Because I mean, I still think it's cool for you to find something, even when you don't find something. The way you record your videos is cool. Like, oh, he's there, and because you kind of film it in a way that makes me feel like I'm there too. So, and you go a lot to the same places, so sometimes there's like duplicate tables, you're like, oh, that person gave him a deal last time, let's see if they do this time. Like, I don't know if that's going to fall out of popularity. I mean, unless people just don't care anymore. But
because honestly, I've seen creators recently doing stuff that's actually is outperforming the stuff that I'm doing, and they really are just collecting. Like, I'll mention a creator, Retro Wolf 88. He's here. I saw him this weekend. He's a guy that recently sold a collection and then started over again. But he's largely collecting. You know, he's not really focusing on the sale of anything so much as just the price of acquisition and what he's finding. And he's doing most of it at conventions like this. So there's always stuff to look at. So that's a very viable strategy. And he's got a great fan base, and he does a great job with telling the story and how it's presented. So when you see stuff like that, that suggests that collecting's not going anywhere. There's obviously a big viewer base for that.
And game room tour videos are huge and always have been.
They
stuff
are.
like that. People want to see what you've got and what's going on. And like same thing with your arcade room tour, whatever you want to do. Like it's probably a pretty big video on your channel. I unfortunately have a shed I work out of, and I've got 2 storage lockers full of stuff that's waiting to be fixed or moved on. I'm a collector, but mostly I'm a reseller. Yeah. So I'm on the other side of the fence of like people hate me. I get a deal and they hate me, and I sell it for what it's worth or more, and they hate me. And like, what are you gonna do? I can just be hated on it. That's fine.
But at one point, that seemed like that was more interesting than the game itself, and that's why I started focusing on that more, because my analytics, and I'm telling you honestly now, my analytics would show that the minute I would stop and start talking about this game came out in such and such year, and it has this great third level with such and such, you look at the thing, dips right off. You look at the chart, they kick it.
They want to know what it's worth and
I know how much money he made, I'm leaving. So you're telling me you want more financials.
And then when you do more financials, they fall off from that too. So you don't really know.
You also have people that don't want that. So
that's the same for me though. I can do like a, hey, I just got this game, and then I start talking about the game, but I'm showing a lot of like what I would call sexy B-roll shots of it, like the control panel and the artwork, and I'm talking about all that. But as soon as I'm like, and I do it now at the end of the video intentionally, once I'm like, now I'm gonna play it, you can see in YouTube it goes, and it makes me wonder like, but do people not like playing the games? Do they only like seeing it?
They do. I think it's not that they don't like playing games. It's that they don't want to watch you play.
Well, they probably don't, because I kind of suck.
Well, think about it when you would go to your friend's house and they were playing and you wanted your turn and you couldn't wait for him to be done. I think that has a lot to do with it, that nobody really just wants to watch the gameplay. They've probably already seen the gameplay.
No, you're wrong. That's what Twitch is. Watching people game.
I know, but then that becomes...
We're the wrong generation for it.
That becomes a hangout. That's a different space.
This is the I want to see what this guy's got generation. We're the it's my turn generation. I want to play. Yeah. Give me the controller. My turn. All these kids today are like, you know what? I want to see what this guy does with this game. I like the way this guy thinks. I like watch his strategies on these types of games. And I'll work my game off of him, but I'm going to watch him. We're just not... We're different kinds of gamers, I think. You know what I mean? There's room for all. There's room for all. It's fun to watch things that I wouldn't think I would be attracted to, like speed running of Zeldas, like working through glitches in games or stuff that I watch those and I'm like, how did you figure that out? I played Zelda. I got the tattoos. I played it my entire life. Never even thought that could be a thing that I would try. But glitching through walls in Castlevania, like hitting on a bird and getting up to the upper level, like that's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love it. So I love that stuff. I'll watch somebody who's great at their craft do their craft.
But now that you mention that, again, that's something that these people that are trying to do retro, especially new to the scene, have to come to grips with. That unless you have something proprietary going on, speed runs, unless you have something new to deliver, and there's not much left that hasn't already been delivered, you are going to get lost in an endless sea as far as that goes. But there's talk on here about the role of community engagement and how it helps grow a channel's audience. Talked about that on my panel earlier today. And there's an etiquette behind it. I firmly believe that you do want to ask for that engagement. You do want to ask for those likes. You do want to ask for the subs. And you definitely want engagement by asking for a comment or maybe asking a question you know that people are going to want to answer. but you want to do it not annoyingly. There's people that have no finesse to it. They're like, "What's up? Subscribe to my Snapchat. Follow me on Instagram."
Yeah, like the first 10 minutes. Like, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You should like, comment, subscribe, and
I know
and buy my
people
merch.
don't like that. Yeah, I
This
get
video
it.
is brought to you by NordVPN.
Now, look, that's a different thing. Now, I understand the sponsorship. Once you get to that size, I don't know what size checks they're getting written to say that, so I don't judge. Now, I would probably accept a check too for a 2-minute ad. If
What's
that's
up with the like male shaving thing? Like why does Manscaped?
That's
Why are they in the
awesome.
retro scene? Like why?
Because we're hairy bastards. They know.
I know.
Like, there's some hairy bastards.
And I will say that that's an ad I do have to just.
Like, I
can't
couldn't
watch
sit
that.
here and be like, hey guys, I'm going to talk about Robotron, but before that, how's things going down there? You should totally... yeah,
Like Swampy in the figs.
it'd be so much better if you trimmed up. All right, now guys, let's go back.
And now back to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
He gets swampy too.
He's hairy too, but
He's a
whatever.
little light on the quills there between the hedges. But that gets into a different thing. Is those guys that are the size enough to acquire a deal like that are also the size to be able to get away with doing
And they
something
can do
like
whatever
that.
they want.
So
Once you hit a certain...
their futures are guaranteed. Right? They're locked
What
in.
Magic Spoon's big too, that cereal, a Magic Spoon.
Yeah,
Everyone's
I saw
Magic
that.
Spoon.
I would say 50,000 subscribers and you can kind of make whatever video you want and it'll probably do all right on your channel. You know what I mean? If you've got that kind of pull, you can diversify more than you can if you don't. So you better stick to a game plan and go for it. That's my best advice I got. I got it from you.
Well, what I've struggled with is getting that engagement because people have to want to engage with
You
you.
just mentioned that. Okay, so like 2 days ago, coming to this thing, I got my little Labyrinth pinball machine out there, finished up enough to like play, and I made a post on my CaptNRetro channel, a community post, same picture, same exact tags, and I did it on Tara's channel too, which is a movie reaction channel.
Right, nothing to do with it,
I
right?
said in my tweet, I said, here is the biggest problem with the gaming community. One of these is posted to a movie reaction channel. The other is a pinball and arcade channel. Which one has more likes in the same amount of time, 11 hours? Either my channel is blacklisted or people hate me. Most likely both. Hashtag gaming. So it's a picture of the Labyrinth and a little thing about the Labyrinth. And on my page there were, hold on, that was Tara's. On my page there were three likes, 3 thumbs up in 11 hours. Her channel has 47 and like 17 comments. So people, I think it's because she's a girl. I mean, that's honestly, your answer is she's a girl. But like they interact on her community. Her community is an interaction community. I could ask, be like, put out I'm on fire. Someone throw water on me, and it'll be just tumbleweeds. You know what I mean? Like no one.
But it's a subject matter that they want to express their opinion of. It's a movie, right? They want to let you know their 2 cents. So it's a good thing in that regard that, you know, I talked about this in my
Well, that's
panel
why I put it
earlier.
on there,
The
'cause
questions
it's loud.
I asked are things that are, they're the questions that are people who want to give you their 2 cents.
Like on a lot of my community stuff, I don't get a ton, but Twitter's like I do Twitter too, and Twitter can be tough. But the other day I was like, I was in a bad mood. I was just aggravated. I woke up nasty. I was just nasty, and I wrote this message. I don't even know if I can pull it up. I basically wrote this thing, and it got people pissed the hell off. I wrote. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, I think I read that.
I said, let me see if I can find it here. I'm almost there. I was like kind of being like I was being a dick. I really was. Like I was intentionally kind of being a dick, but I was in a bad mood.
It's also hard to
Oh,
write
this is it.
sarcasm on the internet.
So it has 20,000 views on Twitter. That's like really good. Most of my stuff doesn't. And I said, I keep in mind, I was really in a bad mood this day. I said, is Arcade 1-Up almost dead? So we can take our hobby back. I think people have wasted enough money on the arcade nostalgia cash grab. Let's go back to OG arcades and DIY emulation projects and give people good experiences. Congrats on the Arcade 1-Up, but it's time for you to leave. And it's like a scene it's a scene from Friends where like he's slamming the door on the guy and the guy's like, and yeah, I mean, I was just in a bad mood that day, but I was getting ripped all over the place. Because like, you started there, how could you say that? And it's all...
But if you look at the perspective, you're just asking a question, not much different than what we've asked here. Would you people come over here with me? I mean, do you want to see?
But my whole point of it, though, was...
This is over. I don't know how much more they're going to be able to give you.
But my thing is, it goes back to what you said. The community has turned into a bunch of people just complaining about how bad the products are. And I wasn't trying to say, oh, you're stupid if you bought them. I was trying to say, look, you've already put all this money into it, and all you're doing is complaining about it. Why not just seek out something a little bit better? Because there's it doesn't have to be real, but there's all these. It doesn't have to be a real arcade or original arcade. It could be anything, and it'd probably give you a better experience. But Twitter's tough because if you say anything controversial, someone will just interpret it however they want. One guy was like, "You think I'm stupid for buying Arcade 1-Up? You're stupid." Real arcade. And I was like, "Oh man!" I was like, "Damn, this guy's pissed off." And I was like, and then after I had some food that day and calmed down, I was like, "Oh wow, I like really pissed everybody off." But you said it earlier, the controversial topics, like the negativity, and I'm typically very, very positive all the time, so I think that also was why I got the backlash, because they're like, what's up with this dude? He's usually super nice and friendly, but I was just pissed. But that content, you said it, like the controversial stuff or the drama stuff, people will pivot to sometimes because they see this uptick and oh my gosh, like people are really interested in it. But people really do enjoy being miserable sometimes. I don't know what that's all about.
And they don't like negativity, but they do flock to it in a lot of cases.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and misery loves company, so they got friends and they'll make their own little group, and next thing you know, you got a channel calling you out and saying you're doing something that you really haven't ever done, but they're like, I'm gonna talk about this guy because it'll work for my channel. I hate you.
Have you had? Can we talk about that real quick? Have you had someone make like a hate video?
Oh man, I've had knife threats. Like, come on, bro, come to my house. I will cut you. Like, okay, and I took his video and made it into an even funnier one. Like, that was years ago. My channel originally started out as home console collecting stuff, and I was doing that. What's up, guys? Welcome to the CaptNRetro Show. How you guys doing? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe down below. I was that overly, it's me, but it's very, entertainer, and that's what I'm watching at this. I made a side channel for these old episodes, and 3 of them deep, I'm like, I hate myself. I didn't realize when I was making them that I was that fake. And that's probably what drove a lot of people to like, no, this guy's trying too hard. You know what I mean? And like on my normal videos in the last like 5 years, it's been, I'm barely seen. I'm behind the camera talking about whatever I'm doing, and they get a lot better reaction at least than anything I did where I was making a show. You know what I mean? Like now it's just a vlog with a voiceover occasionally and sometimes some funny edits that I do. But like, I tried so hard. Not thinking I was trying. I was like, I'm not even trying. I'm just gonna make an episode. And then it would be like 400 edits and 19 little graphic cards put in and all this stuff and like 8 views. And like and then I watched my attitude and I'm like, I am the guy I hate. Like I didn't realize I was doing it, but I was doing it. And no wonder people didn't watch. So it makes sense. Oh dude, multiple people have wanted to cut me. wanting to and succeeding are 2 different things. But yeah, there's one of my episodes is called Stabby McKnifeface, and this guy, I went on a comment and I made some comment about this guy was being weird on the video about another YouTuber, a guy named Wood, and I got in the comment section. I was like, the guy had gray hair, the guy on the video, and I was like, man, why does God let people like this have full heads of hair and I gotta go bald? Something like that is what I made, comment. And that dude hated that comment. What are you talking about? God didn't do this. That hair's my hair. I'm gonna stab you. And then he made an answer video to my comment. He made a video about me. So then I took that video and I ripped it out of it and I edited it up and yes, I've been threatened with knives. Andy's dealt with some stuff recently of people thinking he's not on the up and up, and that it breaks my heart because knowing Andy since 4th grade, like YouTube isn't nothing. We're real friends, and this dude is the most legit gaming person I've ever known. Like, and he's got games that I played at his house in 4th grade. They're still at his house, so like it's all his stuff, and he's legit. And yeah, he might sell the sports Duke so he can buy his RPG that he wants real bad, but like I don't consider him a scumbag reseller. And somebody else recently made a video basically calling him that, and I got in a fight with those people too. You gonna talk about my buddy, I'm gonna show up. What's up?
It stems from me leaning in too hard on the financials.
Yes, on the reselling.
And I talked with that creator, and I owned that at that point because I'm not looking to be combative with anybody. There is some merit to the claim. When I look up and see that all my videos are me getting these deals and then looking at the profits I'm making on my everything, it has started to look like this guy doesn't collect, this guy doesn't play games, and that's the sentiment that all the people watching that content were echoing. So like I told him, maybe I'm not telling the story right. If I can own any of the blame here, I'm not showing you my losses. I'm not showing you the things that I was told worked that didn't, you know, and I think they understand that that stuff happens. But when you don't show the yin and the yang there, maybe it starts to look like I'm just out there hustling. But again, it looked like that's what people wanted to see, because in the beginning when I was just showing, hey, I found this and I got one of these, and we weren't talking numbers, nobody cared. So again, that kind of goes back to some of this too. Are we seeing a momentum shift to where they do just want to see the collecting? They don't want to see this hardball haggling back and forth and all that, because I thought people were into that. And we don't have to look at that.
I watched American Pickers. I got into this after watching some of his Pawn Stars things. I'm like, I got old stuff, and I know a lot about old things. I bet I can make some money doing this and collect all kind of cool stuff. And like that drew me into it. Is the American Pickers bought this thing for $100 from this guy, and they just claimed it was worth $1,500. I'm like,
they do.
What plan is okay? I can do the same thing they're doing, and I basically did with like my niche, video games.
I just know that I do lowball. I would never tell somebody that I don't do that. And the reason for that, and I've tried to explain this, it's a defense mechanism. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
So you buy a lot of broken stuff in 20 years, right? So after that many losses, it's always a knee-jerk to try to minimize your investment so you maximize the potential for gain.
Yeah.
But I never want to come at anybody like I'm ripping them off. It's just, if you're going to sell something dirty and untested and you're going to flat out say you don't know if it works, I got to take that into consideration.
Yeah,
There's a good chance it may not. We've talked about disc rot. We talked about so many things contributing to this stuff's just not going to work at this point. Like PS1s, they're way past their lifespan. We're at the point where a PS3 is pretty much past its lifespan. How many broken 360s are out?
That just don't work.
I've had
Lasers
6
that just
Dreamcasts in my life. The one that I finally got that worked, I found in a bucket of trash next to a toaster. I'm not kidding. Complete luck of
Can
the
you
draw.
help me make me feel better about this? I never can buy. I finally have one now. Every Sega CD I would buy would have a broken laser. Every single one. It took. I bought so many before I got a
We
real
talked
one.
about this last year because you saw the #1 model that was at the flea market. We talked about that. They didn't
that was
work
all
right out of
into
the
it.
box.
You're like, don't do
So
it.
you were safer not having, and that's what I saw it too. I was like, my dad bought me one of those. I told you when it first came out, and it was broken right out of the box. Those things were built to die. So
You mentioned the word just a minute ago. Though my channel originally was called Captain Lowball.
it was.
Just know that.
And to be fair, you talked about that to me those years ago. Like, I don't think people are going to, you already had the foresight, I don't think people are going to like this because they're going to think that I'm just trying to rip everybody off. I mean, I will take some ownership in that. Yes, I do try to get it for the lowest price, but at the same time, it does come out in the wash, right? I'm not making all this money out of it. I'm just funding my hobby. That's it. You couldn't live off of what I make.
I'm also a realist in the fact that I realize, like, it's not my job to tell you what something's worth. If you put something on the internet for $100, then I'll give you $100. I'll try and offer you 80. You know what I mean? I might throw you 120 to try and get it, but like that ain't my job to tell you it's worth 10 grand.
But before we
You
get
got the
too off
internet.
here,
You obviously have the internet because you listed it on the internet. You know what I mean?
I want to make sure that we hit on all the points here. We're talking about trends driving growth, the broader state of the gaming industry, and I've looked at content focusing on modern gaming, not just retro. I want to talk about this too. Is almost always rooted in news format, and I know that's something that you all have seen. Because the success of those pieces of content, those channels, is measured by how swiftly and accurately you hit on those trending topics. The race to be first, if you will, you know all that.
Yeah.
It's that, or it's an obvious defined expertise in a game, or at the very least, a genre. And I talked about this creator in my first panel this morning, CP the Doc. This guy, he does NBA 2K23. And he's amazing at it.
Okay.
But he only does
One
that.
That
yeah.
one game?
Yeah. Just
Has he done it for
2K23.
multiple generations, like over the past?
I don't know,
generations?
because it's a fairly new channel.
Okay.
23.
I'm sure he's played the game for that long, but this is a newer thing, and he hit Creator on the Rise with it. And you know when 2K24 drops, he's going to be killing it on that.
Yeah.
So he's secured himself a little something there. And I guess I don't know where I'm going with it so much.
I think you're right though. Like even when
You gotta have a rock to cling
yeah,
to
but when
because
you
the
do
new
old
stuff
stuff-
is also highly speculatory and it can't always guarantee success unless you're the first person to get it out. You have to have something proprietary. And announced news is not that. It's something everybody already has.
Doing older content, like our channels mostly are focused on older stuff. Like it's older games or classic, they're like classic coin-op things. Like that's hard to have a trend to because there is no trend. It's just the only time. Although I will say to kind of follow what you're saying is if like another company releases a game and then I talk about the original arcade version of it, that video usually does well because people are searching for it. Because let's say it's like if New Wave Toys, who makes those little tiny the little tiny arcades, which are actually very cool by the way, but if they come out with something like who was it that just came out with Food Fight? It was either New Wave Toys or which one was it?
New Wave Toys.
Was it New Wave? Yeah. So I bet if I had been smart, I could have done a Food Fight video around the same time that came out, and it probably would have done pretty well.
Find a way to ride.
And I do notice those trends do help, but it is harder with what we do because it's all older stuff. Like it's like you might find, I bet, like if they have a re-release on Switch and then you talk about the old version of it, it'd probably be a good time to do that, right?
It does, yeah. I think that modern gamers that are making content, again, have to find a rock to cling to.
Yeah.
I think that's a much safer bet. And again, circling back to this NBA 2K guy, what a great thing he's found is he's picked a game that comes out every year.
You know what trend I can't believe can still do well? I'm like, how many times is like the new Nintendo Switch? Like, I don't know how many videos. I'll say his name, but I watch him. I subscribe to him. But RGT85 has done like 7,000 videos on like, this is it. It's coming out. I found the prototype. I'm like, what the heck? Like, but they still.
He's
do
also
well.
a great example though of the modern gaming news guy, right? Because most of his content is talking about what's going on
and
right
how
now.
to morph your channel and keep.
Yeah,
momentum.
he actually did. You're right.
He started
yeah.
as a gamer, just a gamer, and then it was a collecting thing, and then it was news, and it was Switch news. Like,
and then he sold his collection just recently.
He followed the trends, and I've met him. He's a nice dude. Like, I bear no ill will towards anybody who does better than my channel. More power to you. I couldn't put myself in a situation on gaming where I had to make news content. Like, I never wanted to do it.
I don't like
wanted to be that guy who's like, I'm going to just read what's going on in Kotaku, and then I'm going to make a video.
Well, it's high pressure because it's got to be timely. Too,
that
right?
you
can't
have
wait
to
too
be
long
timely.
to do
I would
it.
just get bored doing it. And the only thing I'm not getting bored with the movie thing, even though it's the same type of video, is at least it's a new movie every week. You know what I mean? Or every episode, it's a new movie I get to watch and edit. And like, I'm really loving making that content, even though it is cookie cutter, gotta be the same, make the same video every week. And I wish I would have taken that advice 5 years ago from CaptNRetro channel and like pared it down. It's only pinball now. It's only just pick one thing and whatever. It's only toe lint. I got some toe lint, and that's a whole video about it. Like, you could have a huge 10 million subscriber toe lint channel if you do it right. Is toe lint a thing? Belly button lint, I guess, is more of it.
We've touched a little bit on the game collecting in the secondary market already tonight. How these factors impact content creation, we've also touched on that too, because I feel like, again, if the bubble bursts, that in itself is a topic. If everyone's going to start selling off their collections. RGT actually did that recently,
Well,
as a matter of fact. So
the COVID year really did like blow the bubble back up.
It did. That was a big thing.
And on all ways, arcade, pinball, home console, like, you're stuck at home, people are buying stuff to play at home. And watching that happen was incredible because I had sold my collection like in 2018, 2019, whenever it was, I think 2018 when I sold to start buying pinballs more often. And going to Southeastern Game Exchange in last month, whatever it was that I went to, and looking at prices, I was like, oh my God, why did I sell everything? I should have just been sitting on it.
I was doing that today. Looking at some of the Pokemon games in the cases that are now like $400 and $500 just to get $20 for those things, bro. And you were buying for 25 cents. They were in bags of Happy Meal crap. Nobody wanted
And
that.
now the thing with
That's how long we've been doing
the
this.
thing with my recollection, because I have been recollecting home console, but it's only stuff I'm going to play.
Yeah.
And that I love, and I want the full, complete whatever of. So my collection will never be like it was again, which was buy everything I can find and sell everything I can sell everything I buy.
I saw something the other day. I don't remember the channel, but I thought this was kind of strange to do in 2023. And it doesn't seem to be doing well. It was like, I'm gonna get like a complete, and it was like a Sega Genesis collection or something. I was like, first of all, I don't even know how you do that. What would that even cost in 2023? Like,
lot.
to have a complete Sega
It's
Genesis. There's
definitely
so
the
many
wrong
damn
time
games.
to be doing that.
Yeah.
You could. It's still a viable channel topic.
How many games did
But
they
it's
come
gonna
out with
work.
for the Sega Genesis? It's gotta be like,
It's a lot.
I know
yeah,
that's a very general answer to say a lot, but
yeah.
it's
But
a
I mean,
lot.
but in the cost.
It's
I mean,
more than you want to buy at these rates.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at some of my Sega stuff I don't want to part with. At the same time, it's like somebody really wants this more than me. Looking at these numbers,
Yeah.
and it's hard to resist that.
I've got like photocopied Panic Restaurant manual and a couple other really expensive, like they were from Blockbuster when they used to photocopy the
Yeah,
manual.
I've got some stuff like
is
that,
this
not
one-
Panic Restaurant,
Does
but-
this count? What can I
It's
sell
pretty
this
cool because it
photocopy
tells
for?
a story. You know, I've got that Frankenstein on NES that's worth about 400 big ones. It's got the original manual, but it also has a photocopy because it was a rental copy, and the store that owned this copy would give that out when it was rented.
That's cool.
Kind of a neat piece of
Yeah,
history that's in there
cool.
with it, right?
The Mike Tyson's letter is a $250 piece of paper right now. You know what I
Oh.
mean, if you don't have that in the box, then you can knock $250 off the
Yeah.
price of that box.
is everyone here like pretty much a collector, by the way? Like, does everyone collect?
Yeah.